This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. That's questions at talkmusiccity.com.
Monty!
Carey Ann, welcome to 2023, and we're excited to be here, and I'm excited about our topic today because I'm telling you what I've been sharing with our team is the best defense is a better offense, and the better offense is to be, gathering the opportunity as best you can, broadening your range of skill level, your knowledge. Remember, guys, prosperity follows value. It doesn't follow hoping and wishing and, gee, I got to make my mortgage payment. It follows value. So guess who has value? Guess who has control of your value? You do. Right. Because it depends on if you immerse yourself in more knowledge, more understanding, more options, widening the funnel, so to speak, of your expertise because you attend the classes, because you've recognized the success leaves clues, and you're connecting to those that are successful. You're paying attention, certainly if you're in the real estate business, to the mortgages out there, because cash was king for a while.
It was.
And now,
y'all didn't like us there for a bit.
Yeah, for a few minutes. But now I guess financing is the queen.
Hey,
now,
put me back in, coach. That's what I say. Put me in, coach.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about, so often on our Monday morning huddle calls, we hear a little bit about what you're doing, and I know you're only given a few minutes probably to share, but I wanted to dedicate this time to all the, some of anyhow the options that CMG and your team offer the local realtor and the local consumer, because that can make all the difference in the world,
Yeah, I think taking back control as a business owner for you as a real estate agent is key. A lot of real estate agents get in the business and understand that mortgage financing is a necessity because that's, helps fund the transaction. But, you're trained to stay in your lane, and so you do, and you're going to get their financing, but you don't know what they're actually getting. And then it falls apart and you don't know how to put the pieces back together and all the things.
I see that happen so many times.
Yeah, so many times. And I see it, on social and just in conversation, they have their lender. But again, I think it's important as you, as the real estate agent, to take back control and know what that lender offers. We talked in previous classes, and I'd love to bring it back here this year as well, but the top 10 questions that you should ask a lender, and you should ask me, and I should be very confident without an ego to be able to easily tell you the answers to all of these questions, because the more that you know, and the more knowledgeable you are with that particular transaction, the more comfortable and confident you're going to be to allow for that process to go even smoother, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
But when it comes to the financing piece, so many of us think about just conforming financing, the conventional world for years, actually 2+ years, it was, you can only get a conventional loan. You should only get a conventional loan because that's the best loan. Well, I think that was only because of the lack of education, or maybe that one issue they had with lender A in Timbuktu because they did a government loan, and government loans are bad, and blah blah blah. If you work with true professionals, that professional that's senior, just like you are in your profession, I in mine, doesn't matter what type of loan I'm doing, I'm already on my tippy toes, thinking 2 steps ahead, and taking that to the finish line as smoothly as I would with a regular conventional loan. And so a conventional loan is not always the better loan for the buyer. Each one of us has a different credit score. Each one of us has different money within the bank account. And each one of us has a different story. Monty, you're so open to sharing your story. I have one. Each customer that we work with has a story. We do not want to judge a book by its cover. It does not matter what car they drive. There's more to that story. So just thinking conventional financing is the better option. It's not always the better option. So yeah, there's tons and tons of loan opportunities out there.
So Carey Ann, I don't know if you know this. I know you know that at one time I was a licensed mortgage broker.
Okay, you were.
And you know why I did that?
Why?
Because I got burnt really bad by a mortgage
Sure.
supposed professional. I didn't know how to vet them. I didn't know what I know today. I didn't have a process like no offense, but I did, with you.
Yeah.
I gave you a tough one. Say, try this on for size then.
That little stinker.
And you not only got it done, but you got it done early. And it's like, okay, well, let me give you a little easier one, and then, okay, I don't need to try anybody where else. But I had as I was brand new in the business, I didn't have anything to compare it to other than donuts. Everybody brought donuts in, and I'm thinking, well, this guy really brings great donuts in. He's got a great smile. It seems like he knows what he's doing. I ended up having 6 transactions piled up there.
Yeah.
Before they started dying, because the guy didn't know what he was doing other than where to get the donuts. And so I became extremely, extremely cynical on the topic. And I even went out and got my own mortgage broker's license because I wanted to know what the hell to look for. I didn't have the sense that I do now that I don't have to go out and become all things. I do need to be knowledgeable about what's available. So if things trigger my brain or not, then I know if they're telling the truth. But what I have to do is surround myself with awesome people. Okay, that's the key to it, is you don't have to know how to, work on your car if you find a great mechanic. I don't have to know how to, the whole in and out of mortgages, but I do need to continually attend the classes so that I'm staying fresh in an area that if somebody says they're going down this path, I can remember or remind myself, look, my client is paying for, or they're working with me because they feel like I have authority and understanding and clarity in the business. And they tell me that they're going to XYZ bank as an example. I can say, I get that. I understand that. But don't let what happened to so-and-so happen to you. And I'll share an example or two of that scenario and say, look, I get your commitment that you think it's going to be easier because that's where you do your banking. No offense to a bank around whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're in the banking business. But let's do this. Why don't you consider that way, but also have my mortgage professional take a look at your situation as well, and then listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. I'm dealing with somebody on a daily basis. You do this every 3 to 5 or 10 years. My point of sharing this, guys, is give yourself permission to be strong in this arena.
Right. Or confident.
I'll never forget about 2 years ago that Blake presented a VA loan that was being handled by you, and we beat out a higher cash deal by an investor. Because that agent happened to know who you are and your reputation and so forth. And anyhow, I don't need to keep on belaboring that, but it's so important to surround yourself with awesome people, especially in the mortgage arena. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, and I think what we're talking to is about triggers, right? So you're talking to the person at the grocery store, or you're talking to somebody off of your Zillow leads, or, Op City, or all the things, and they say a few things that you think possibly will not allow them financing, or you think that they should be able to get financing because the rest of the story is not shared, And so knowing that there's multiple different options that are available for your clients, that are not just conforming loans. And let's talk about what a conforming loan is. So that's going to be your conventional, that's going to be your FHA, that's going to be your VA loan, your USDA loan. Those are your conforming loans. I kind of states that those are the loans, like if you were going down 65, they're just the regular straight loans that you're very familiar with. Those can close very quickly. I mean, I just checked last week, USDA is on a 2-day turn time.
Wow.
So many people were shunned away with a USDA loan. If you know USDA financing, it allows for a 620 credit score. So many loans within Middle Tennessee are eligible because we are more out in the outskirts of the city limits that are on the market today, which would allow for 100% financing. And knowing that your sellers are going to be more negotiable, those buyers can get in with minimal money and have savings left, right? If nothing, if no money for that matter, right? And they can close in 20 days or less because the turn time for USDA is only 2 days. And again, when we work with the government, we understand that this is the time of compression. We understand that people are going to be losing their jobs in multiple different departments. And so utilizing this program and keeping people employed is the win. The rates are so strong right now. And the payment is going to be the lowest out of all 100% loans when utilizing USDA loan. But again, for the last couple of years, we've been told, no, USDA not going to accept, or, don't want to do that loan. There could possibly be a concern, right? Well, if you're already thinking about all the concerns and having a solution for all problems that could eventually pop up today, that allows you and will make you the true professional and somebody that can navigate through a particular transaction and still allow it to close timely and smoothly, right? So what are the issues that government people or loans that, agents think about government loans? Name a few issues.
Well, I mean, I think it's old school. And I think personally, it's probably driven by the consumer more than the agent, because the agent hasn't done their homework. And the consumer is saying, well, I remember when my great aunt sold her house VA and they didn't like it because there was peeling paint. And so, there was these problems. I mean, that's kind of a lot of it. What it comes down to is first of all, value. They're looking at a home, maybe with thicker glasses, because the higher the loan to value ratio, the more closely they need to look at the numbers. I don't think numbers are an issue right now. The other part is, a lot of times that FHA buyer is looking for closing costs. That I think is the biggest reason why in the last 2 years probably is the closing costs, and the idea that it's going to take 30 days or 45 days, that kind of stuff. Not realizing that that's all been equalized.
Sure.
It really has, and appraisers are coming in just as good as a conventional loan. And those are the main things I think that a lot of people shy away from. That maybe the qualification of the buyer is not as strong as if they were going conventional. But I don't think that's true.
That's not true. And I think you and I might look in the mirror and know our personal story, but everybody's got a story, which means that not everybody's perfect. So just because they're getting a conventional loan does not mean that that's going to close as timely as an FHA or a VA loan. You spoke about the things that agents or clients would be concerned about. Just like you as real estate agent have all these myths that you burst and break, that's similar to our world. Again, there are senior players that have been doing this industry for a really long time. I would search for those. And there's some great ones that I know very closely within our marketplace because we study our craft on a regular basis. My team studies 2 hours every week on loan programs. Do we need to? I think so, because tomorrow something else is going to pop up. To know that you can call me and ask me about a particular program and why Carey Ann is so-called known for her magic and bringing life back into the transaction. And it's her. She twiddles her nose and she uses a magic wand. No, it's because I know guidelines inside and out, and I know that guideline changed last week, and I know that we haven't been doing that for the last year, right? So some people that don't study their craft are just going to be staying within that realm of what used to be, or they just don't know the newest and latest, change within Fannie or Freddie, et cetera, et cetera. So also working and knowing the type of lenders that you work with is key as well. You're going to have direct lenders, correspondent lenders, and brokers. And some people will say that this is better than that. Let me tell you, I am a true believer of control. We talk about control for you as a business owner. For me as a business owner, I want control, which means that I want to be able to confidently tell you that yes, this will close in 8 days, or yes, this will close in 20 days. I don't have to go call somebody. I don't have to worry about somebody else's guidelines. I'm a true direct lender to the agencies. A broker has to broker that financing out to another, which means what? They lose control, right?
They don't have any, they don't have any power. They don't have any, veto power or anything else. One of the main things I hate when I'm dealing with another lender, and no offense to anybody out there, I promise, but one thing I hate is some lenders are still, some mortgage professionals are still working with a company that you're in line to get yours to the underwriter.
Oh yeah, okay? No, we don't wait lines.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I got so used to not even hearing that when I did recently, it's like, are you kidding me? Are you stinking kidding me that you're dealing with somebody that you have no say-so, you have no credit, you have no strength with, that you got to sit in a line?
Yeah.
I was anyway. That's a pet peeve of mine.
That's a quick question that you can ask early on, right? Because like you said, your buyer does not know for this or that. Yes, I work with the bank because of my checking and savings. That is what they're all about with deposits, right? Absolutely. And so they do add the financing and the mortgage piece to it, but their main goal is the banking piece, right? And so kind of just knowing and asking lots of questions about the process, knowing that, how do we make this as smooth as possible? Do you truly have a guarantee? All the things. And so why can Carey Ann take a loan that was denied down the street for one particular program and then approve it for that same program, right? We see this all the time. Denied THDA, Carey Ann takes it and closes in 8 days and approves it THDA, right? It's because we are direct. Other lenders have a correspondent overlay to their particular guidelines. I'm not stating that I'm better than the other, but what's important for you to know is what you are actually dealing with and or working with, and knowing the particular lender that your buyer has and asking lots of questions. I think that is something that I would do if I was a real estate agent. I would probably gather my 5 to 10 questions and I would see the response. Now you're going to see some egos that are going to come out from different lenders. I would question their professionalism in regard to that. But again, as you work over and over and somebody builds a strong reputation for maintaining and being consistent with the outcome of a smooth transaction, that's something to be said, right? And we want to do that. But again, let's talk about the first person that doesn't fit within that conforming box, right? It's more of a non-conforming, maybe somebody who has been self-employed, but just started out and their first year wasn't as strong, right? Is there other options for that individual to still purchase? Because we hear this a lot. I am just doing good. I'm making lots of money. I'm ready to buy a house, right? And now what? And so they call lender A and they're denied because their average of their tax returns don't meet up. There's multiple different options that are out there, and we as well lend with those where you're looking at bank statement loans where we average a 12-month history or a 24-month history. You've got a 1-year tax return option. You've got a profit and loss option. And again, remember, sometimes when you go off-road or the non-conforming routes, you were asking less questions, right? And so when we do that, your interest rate may be a little bit higher. But again, to purchase real estate is always a win, even with a little bit of a higher interest rate. And so you're going to be looking at strong wins for the self-employed. Middle Tennessee, Music City, we are full of the self-employed, right? From the singer-songwriter to the drummer, to the musician, to the all the folks, from the folks that are in the multi-level marketing groups, whether they're selling activewear to facial products, those are all people that are considered self-employed. And so you as a real estate agent are one as well. So just think about, if you're going to be talking to lots of folks out there that want to purchase in Middle Tennessee, they possibly may be self-employed, right? And so you need to be really well versed in all the products that help support the self-employed, I think is what I would want to do on that. And your investors, you might not have a buyer eager to do something right now, but your investors are smart. They know when times are a little different, when it is the winter months, this is the time to pounce and purchase. But again, do you know all the options available for your investors? There's 5 different investor loan options that are out there, right? And this is huge. But as a real estate agent, if you're just waiting for that investor and think that they're going to pay cash, I wouldn't pay cash as an investor. I would keep my cash. Cash is king, especially in today's market. Right. So I would want to know all loan options available that I can keep my cash and still be and have a strong cash flow on that particular purchase, right? And so
one of the ones I like, do you still have the one that you put 25% down and let that payment qualify it if the payment is positive?
Yeah, so that's going to be your no. Yeah, that's your no doc.
Instead of putting cash down, they're putting 25% down instead. So now they can buy 4 homes instead of just 1.
So you're looking at doing no income documentation on that with 25% down, and you need to make sure that the rentals, which is the cash flow, offsets your mortgage payment. And again, when you ask less questions on that, yes, the interest rate's higher, but a lot of investors are looking for, that short-term rental. They're looking for the cash flow, right? And so that's a huge win. Folks that use that program are ones that don't want to show me their tax returns because it's just too much work, or they're not showing me their tax returns because they're not showing income, on paper because they have a strong accountant that I need to meet. Too funny. So you've got bank statement loans for the investor. Our all-in-one product right now is just huge, and it is really shining bright and quite popular, which is our first lien equity line that focuses on principal before interest. By you knowing all the programs that are available out there just really elevates you with all that value that you're talking about, which I think is a huge win. We are in a very diverse marketplace here in Middle Tennessee, which means that not everybody's going to speak English. And so we kind of thought 2 steps ahead, and we have great divisions that have support in the Spanish speaking and also Arabic, right? And so that is opening up a lot more doors for many of the folks within the community as well. And with that, there's specific programs. One would be called an I-10 loan or a W-7 loan, right? And so I'm not a gal that just sits back and just going to focus on my little box. I'm always thinking about how I can help serve a real estate community and provide even more programs to really make you the most successful out there, because there's so many stories out there. There's so many folks. How about I was a bus driver in Williamson County, and then I became a bus driver in Rutherford County. Did you know that made me go from W-2 to 1099?
I didn't know
and what
that.
does that do for me, right? Yeah. Knowing that I have programs that allow you to go from a W-2 to 1099.
Same occupation.
Same occupation, right? But again, there's options, that are available out there. I love watching the social media questions, and I'm always here to help try to create solutions. But, when you see that someone's been denied once, twice, 3 times, right? You possibly think that's a dead deal. Mm-hmm. And some people look at me as if you did something silly or legal. Yeah. No, everything's legal. My kid is 9. I have to have my license at all times, but I know my guidelines. And so one scenario was manufactured homes. I kind of giggle with the real estate agents that I'm your queen of your double wide. But again, there's many manufactured homes options that are gorgeous all throughout, and as much as they depreciate, many of them are showing some appreciation lately because they've been rebirthed and redone and all the things. And so do you know you're about to list a manufactured home, but do you know that you can actually get financing on that? I reach out to a lot of real estate agents that are listing because they are not familiar with what type of financing can or cannot be provided, and can that close smoothly. Why would you want to take on a listing just to have a listing and not know you can't close it unless it's cash, right? Mm-hmm. And if cash isn't king, you want to make sure you have all your options. So in regard to manufactured homes, you're looking at doing FHA, VA, THDA, and conventional, right? But again, conventional requires 5% down. FHA requires 3.5%. And you need this, and this, right? And so we've created a checklist to be able to help you. But I noticed on social media the other day that there was somebody that was looking for a manufactured investment loan. Okay. And I know for a fact that does not exist. Wow. That's not a guideline requirement, hence why they were denied 2 or 3 times. Now, I just thinking outside the box just said, I'm going to reach out because maybe I can facilitate that loan through a banker and just work through my banker, right? And just help the agent. And that's one thing that I do as well, being well networked over the last 22 years. Maybe I can't do the financing and maybe it needs to be a commercial loan, right? And I'm going to go with my local bankers that I work with that are amazing. So I reached out and I had started having a conversation with this agent and then the client, and the client started sharing more and more that they were purchasing the home for their mother. So so many people thought that was an investment, but did you know that Fannie and Freddie allow you and I to purchase a home for a elderly family member that can no longer work or an adult child that cannot work because of this or that with only 5% down?
I did not know that.
That loan got denied 3 times.
Holy cow.
I take it on and close it in less than 30 days with a regular conforming they put 20% down because that's what they wanted. But again, it wasn't even an investment loan. So if I didn't reach out and ask the question, that agent would still be stuck with not a transaction. That buyer would not be purchasing this perfect manufactured beautiful home for their mother, all the things, right? And
guess who looks like a hero? That agent now looks like a hero because that person connected him with you. Yes,
and I was so blessed because the one great thing in my world is because how I get a lot of my business is helping folks, save some deals. And many people think that's all that I do. That's just one thing that I do, right? We help clients just from day one with confident, trusted financing that closes timely.
You don't have to be denied 3 times by somebody.
And so it's just one thing that I love to do. But that agent, I now know, right? I get to meet so many great folks that have been great partners and now friends because of those connections. So we talked about, manufactured homes, but what about your condo, right? Yeah. And is it a townhome or is it a condo? I love that one because many agents go ahead and quickly list what they think is a townhome because it's an attached, part of a 4-unit or et cetera, but they don't read the master deed to find out that it's truly a condo. When it's a condo, that opens up a whole new can of worms, right? When it comes to the financing side. And so working with somebody that can help guide you on exactly what you're about to list and can I get financing and what is it going to look like? I see some people write only conventional financing or has to only be cash. Maybe that's a simple way out of not worrying about doing your homework. Right. But there's possibly more options out there.
In today's market, you don't have that luxury. Before you could dictate as a listing agent, hey, no, we're only dealing with cash. Probably not want to do that now. You probably want to know a great lender. I'll never forget one of the first things that you really turned my head about was I was dealing with a log home in Mount Juliet or Lebanon. And I'd been turned down by the local bank. I'd been turned down by another lender. And so I reached out to you and said, well, will you finance a log home? And your first question was it a true log home? Yeah. You start breaking it down. And it's like you were a master of log homes. And suddenly you're financing this log home for my buyer because I didn't ask the right questions because I didn't know that there was a big difference in those, how they're constructed.
Well, and again, many of us love living in the lodgy feel in that log home, but some of that is just fake rock attached and fake logs attached,
It's facade. Yeah.
Right. But think about in Middle Tennessee, how many types of homes we have, right? So from the log home to the manufactured home to the berm home, how about the tiny home? Now we're living in containers. I mean, we're doing all the things here in Middle Tennessee, right? And we see lots and lots of questions. Who does the financing for blank? Who does the financing for blank? Did you know that you can get financing for all of those if they are on true permanent foundation, so they just can't put their wheels back on and get lost? And if you can provide like comps. So the appraisal piece is the key, right? And so if you're doing a tiny home, yes, and if it's on a foundation, you can do regular conforming financing if you have other comparables, for that. Similar to container homes, berm homes. The struggle with a berm home is there's only so many in the Middle Tennessee area, and so it's hard to find the comps, to do that.
The log home was the same way. There's not a lot of comps.
Exactly.
Especially when you don't know that there's a difference in construction.
And then you work with solid appraisers, and that is why when you're working with lenders that take the time to work with AMCs and or have their own internal AMC, and again, we have to legally rotate and make sure that there's a lottery system, but the legalities of all that allow us to have only 3, actually, really only required to have 3 solid appraisers, but you can pick your own panel. So lenders who actually take the time to research true professionals in that space, right? They then rotate those. That allows you to have true information. I never question the appraisers on our list. And again, when times got a little busier, you had to stretch out and use people that you don't use on a regular basis. But now the market, the way it is, you can utilize true professionals that you've used for years. I trust that if they're going to come in low, they've done their due diligence, right? That's just what it is, right? Just like I'm going to trust that you are going to do an amazing job negotiating a contract for me and vice versa from a lending standpoint. I'm going to give your client the best option, available out there. And so that's the other thing that I love with CMG Financial and what I've built here locally with my mortgage team is being able to have structure around a true AMC that we can trust as well. From not only them doing the right job and not having an ego enough that they're not willing to look at a rebuttal. I think that's the other struggle, but also the timeliness. How does one close loans in 8 days and need to get a new appraisal, right? It's because of working with a great AMC that supports and gets appraisals back in the timely fashion. You see a lot of folks within our VA or veteran community that goes with large bank A, B, or C because they think that's a better option, right? I think it's important to really, again, do your due diligence. Just don't assume that because they're going with a company that might have VA in their naming, that is a little bit of some marketing and branding behind it, right?
It really, truly is. One of our agents found that out the hard way here recently.
Yeah, and so I'm really blessed to work with so many of the folks that have served. Again, being a daughter of a veteran and a sister of two amazing siblings that are veterans, I take a true passion with that. And I think focusing on doing the right for our military, whether active or veteran community, I think is key. And so there's so many things about the VA loan. Do you even know, right? I mean, the seller can pay 4% of the veteran's debts. They can pay closing cost and discount points.
They can pay off their car, can't they?
They can pay off their car. Yeah. People say, Carey Ann, how do you do this? I'm like, it's just the guidelines. It's right there in black and white. Right. If you know how to help the veteran, it's a huge win. There's no credit score. People ask, what's the credit score requirement on a VA loan? Well, there's not one when you're a direct lender. It's a make sense transaction. They focus on the residual income for the buyer. What's the ratio requirement on a VA loan? If somebody tells you what it is, that means that that's their guideline, but the VA doesn't actually have a ratio requirement. It focuses on the true residual income, making sure that veteran has enough to cover all of their expenses, and I think that's key. As somebody who isn't on active duty, who has to be stationed somewhere else, can buy a primary home for their family in a different state. There's multiple things when you know your guidelines inside and out for you to be able to serve for that community. And so there's many loan options that are out there. Again, many people right now are probably asking about, what do I do with my current equity in my house? I want to maybe consolidate all of my bills because of the holiday, or I want to plan for this market that may be going left or right, or I want to utilize that and leverage my money and be able to purchase more real estate, right? And so you can do multiple different things, and we can help you with that. You can look at doing an equity line where we attach it to your and put it in second position. You can look at refinancing all of it into a cash out refinance, or you could look at doing what many people are doing right now, especially in the real estate community, and you did this as well, is the all-in-one loan product.
All-in-one is empowering, again, because not only am I getting the best bang for the buck of our money that's sitting in other accounts, but it's putting me in a position that when that great deal comes along, I can write a check up to up extra number of dollars, just like that. And to me, that's empowering, and that's positioning yourself to take advantage of any market swings. You
take back total control, which I think is a huge win there. And again, it's not focused on interest rate at that point, right? That's the only loan that focuses on effective rate. Right. It's not about rate. And so today I was speaking earlier with a real estate agent who has 3% as an interest rate, and he's done his education to know that he'll pay more in the long run by keeping that 3% interest rate, than taking on a different type of loan.
We had 3.25. We traded that for whatever the going rate is, and I told Connie it doesn't matter because this is the better deal is the higher interest rate because we're getting more bang for that buck,
right?
And it's given us the empowerment of being able to do things with that money. And this was an investment property, as you know, and we were able to rehab the kitchen and do some things, and again, it's being paid down quicker.
Yeah, for sure.
Carey Ann, do you have any? I'm just curious. I don't know if you have anything on the books yet, but I can't overemphasize the importance, guys, of being knowledgeable about this kind of stuff. You cannot afford to just allow the tail to wag the dog when it comes to the financing part of this. Please understand, what you were doing last year in numbers, it may be different this year, okay? So my point is every deal is going to count even that much more. So why risk, I get it that, people want to, we're servants. I get that. We're servants. And we don't, and if somebody says, well, I'm using XYZ bank, and you don't want to contest that because you're more interested in closing the deal than really, truly being an advocate, honestly. I mean, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but if you're not pushing back a little bit and making sure that they're being taken care of by somebody like Carey Ann's team. If it's not Carey Ann, make sure that they are as strong and knowledgeable, because you the days of just, well, okay, whatever, you want to go to XYZ Bank, okay, well, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. They don't have a great reputation. Well, it's okay, because I don't want to upset you. You can't afford to do that, because by the time that they get to that point, I'll never forget dealing with a very, very well-known bank here in town. I won't mention the name. I'm on the way to the walkthrough. They built the house from scratch, and I'm on the way to the walkthrough to Murfreesboro, only to get a phone call from that client's lender saying, I'm sorry, something's come up on their credit where they can't qualify now to buy this property. And I'm thinking, you're kidding me.
Right.
You're stinking kidding me. In today's world, we're so transparent. How does this come up at the last hour like this? These people had to give up their dream home and stay in their condo because now suddenly they couldn't buy. This was before Carey Ann. This is
and let's be honest. I'm human, right? And so, and I have an amazing team, but we're human, and so mistakes happen. I think what is important is, what do you do when a mistake happens, or what do you do when something pops up? Because the consumer doesn't sometimes always listen to you and I, and things do pop up. Or what also happens is they forget to tell the rest of the story.
Right.
They get up here and they forget to tell the rest, right? And so then all of a sudden, through this verification and that verification, the rest of the story, I feel like I'm talking about, what's that guy? The rest of the story?
Yeah, the rest of the story.
What's that guy?
The news guy.
Oh, goodness. You're old. You should know. I love you. Too funny. It was bringing back memories of my dad. But
and the rest of the story.
Yes, somebody out there will know. Whoever that guy is.
Wasn't Walter. No, it wasn't. Who was that? But Paul Harvey.
There we go.
Paul Harvey. Yes, Paul Harvey.
My quick little sidetrack. My dad, he would listen to that in the station wagon driving from one house to another, 45 minutes of the rest of the story. Oh my God, it's good memories. But going back, they end up we find the rest of the story. So now what? It's got to close in 3 days, right? And so if you don't have a solid relationship, or you know that lender is always on their tippy toes and or practices the pivot, that you reference, or what my friend Jim will do from Friends, from the quote there. But you always have to be thinking 2 steps. So we know to be able to take a loan from this type of program to that, how do you navigate that in such a short window? We had a situation where I had a VA loan, and why would I not assume that the veteran is a veteran? Like, I would trust in the fact that what he's telling me is to be truthful. We'll come to find out, finally, this verification, that verification, waiting. It's coming. Okay. We're here, ready. Well, we finally get it to find that he was dishonorably discharged and not honorably discharged, which means he cannot get a VA loan.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So now what do you do in the last hour, right? How do you take a VA loan and flip it to an FHA loan when the VA appraisal is in a different portal than, And so how does one still close that so quickly? I think that is one of our great skill sets, is if something pops up, how can we quickly evaluate and jump and turn? I'm not saying that I am perfect, that I'm not, and I'll be honest with that, but I am a gal that will always work hard to make it right. And I think that's one thing that is important when looking for, a true lender out there, and being honest. It's crazy to talk to some clients that have been told and given the word of hope. And I'm all about hope. But let's be honest, because there's time and money on the table for not only you as the agent, but for the consumer and the sellers. So they have the loan for 45 days. I take it on, and in 10 minutes tell you that this loan will never move in a forward direction. I don't know what we're hoping for, but even if we hope that this happens, you still have this issue. They're only thinking about the first issue. They didn't think about the 2 steps ahead. And so that's one of our specialties, is always kind of planning ahead in regard to what could be and what could possibly happen. But we're joyful with every opportunity. I will tell you that my mortgage team, we never look at a loan size. We look at every opportunity as a family that we can serve and help. It's interesting. I hear some lenders that talk about only wanting to help certain price points between blank and blank. that's not what you're going to find here. Whether it's your first time home buyer or someone that's purchasing a $5 million transaction, we serve and give them the same attention and VIP service that we think that they deserve always. And I think education is key. I think reading and understanding your consumer. You talked earlier with Jason on the huddle call about the DISC and knowing that, if they're more of a direct or if they're a data infused, client, or if they need more hand holding, it's really important that we know that as well. And we take the time to understand that. There's a lot of emotion when it comes to purchasing real estate, which there's a lot of emotion when they think that they should get or they're entitled to all the things happen with all age groups now. And sometimes we're the bad folks, right? We have to give bad news, but I'm a believer that bad news is okay if given early, and with a plan for something down the road.
Anybody respects, as much as they'd like to own a house, I think they respect the honesty. I think it's really important.
But you as a real estate agent, you want to know that. Well, you think that you have a client that possibly they're so excited about purchasing, and then you actually get them off the fence, and then
show them property week after week after week, and you've got untold hours invested, and you can't bill them when you find out that after the third lender that, I'm sorry, they couldn't have bought anyway.
No, yeah. And one thing that I love about CMG Financial, we're the number one independently owned mortgage firm by one person. And so that one person has a huge heart. That one person is a people person who was a loan officer at the beginning, and has built his business and sacrificed his family to create and keep this business going. And I'm truly honored to be a participant of this, but he makes some business decisions for your clients and your clients. And it doesn't matter who it is. If it's a deserving buyer, they are going to make the hard decisions to do what's right.
Wow.
And I'm really grateful for that. And that's what I love having in my back pocket is if something was to happen, I'm not just told no and there's nothing to do. There may be a change or a fix or something. And we take the time to really strip that loan down and rebuild it, and find solutions.
Wow.
So it's a great win. But know that there's lots of options from the mortgage standpoint out there for you as the real estate agent. Know that when you're talking to a client, there's possibly a loan option out there if they're comfortable for it. And maybe they have credit challenges. Maybe they're not ready to do something right now, but you can guide them and provide that value like you referenced, and move them in a direction to be prepared, because we're feeling like time's flying. Lord, 6 months will be here, no time, if that's what it takes to get them prepared to do something come spring or summer. So good stuff.
Thank you, Carey Ann, for all that you share. Thank you for all you bring.
Yes.
I know you have a servant's heart and you're serving a lot of folks, and I'm just really grateful that you're part of our backing up part of our organization with that expertise. And I can't thank you enough. I mean, I can't overimpress upon our team members that without a great lender, you're never going to accomplish great things in our business. You have to have that kind of relationship. Thank you for that.
Well, I'm grateful for our friendship and our partnership. And I know that 2023 is going to open lots of doors for us and also many of you. So thank you so much for being with us today. We can't wait to have you come back. You've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.